Hello everybody, SpiritGaming here and welcome to my Blade Master guide. Before this video starts, I would like to ask for you to subscribe. I have done guides similar to this one for all classes and more updated ones are coming really soon. Also, while you are near the subscribe button, like the video and help me fight through the YouTube algorithm. Also join my Discord where we have 700 players chatting daily and talking about tips, tricks, builds and more. But before we start with the guide, I need to say a quick disclaimer. Yes, this is a complete Blade Master guide, but it does not mean it is the best one for you, nor does it mean that my talents and deep talents will work for you or your personal playstyle. The reason for this is that we don't have big options to test stats and builds. However, this is how I play and I know this works. So without any further ado, let's start with the video. We will be taking a look at a lot of different topics including stats, cores, pets, allies, tracks, set pieces, EX abilities, PvE and PvP talents, 1v1 talents. Also, we will be taking a look at the talent build that I use specifically against Reapers, which I do know that a lot of you will need, and then we'll take a look at some skill rotations and lastly tips and tricks. So yeah, make sure you watch till the end or go through the timestamps down below in the description or on the loading bar. I will place timestamps for every single thing. Now let's start with the stats. I will write them on the screen in order of importance, so please don't ask me what are the most important stats. And again, keep in mind this is the build I want to run, so it might not work for you, but I know it works for me very well. On all of your gear pieces you want physical attack, fire attack, AP, cooldown reduction, crit level. However, you might be asking, what other stats do you need since I just mentioned 5? Well, it all depends on you. I would personally place 5 multi-strike on 5 gear pieces and then strength on the rest of the pieces. However, you could implement some crit resistance or some insight in your gear stats. So the last 10 stats are up to you. Oh, and if you're wondering why I place multi-strike, well, it's because it might be the worst substat, but it is still really useful and powerful when it comes to dealing damage. And no, please don't listen to anyone that says multi-strike is useless, since it is really not. Next up, we have the core setup, aka the cores. Now, for the cores, I would actually suggest only 2 builds. You either want 9 fire, 5 butter and 2 wind gems, or you want 9 butter, 5 fire and 2 wind gems. The first build focuses mainly on AP and pure physical attack, while the second build focuses more on AP and cooldown reduction. Now, the reason why I think the first one is better is that physical attack does not have any diminishing returns unlike all other substats. So yes, for my build, I would always run 9 fire, 5 butter and 2 wind gems. Next, we have pets and their skills. Now, the pets you run is all up to you and your level. However, the assist skills are really important for Blade Masters. I will start with the light pet. You would definitely want water power since that gives you a ton of damage. It comes at a cost where if you switch to a magic attack class, it will be useless. A good alternative for an assist skill that is good for all classes is Crit Blessing, since it increases the actual crit rate proc by 12% chance, and the second assist skill I would recommend is Pack Defense. The only reason why I suggest this is because Blade Masters have the worst time against Reapers, and you need to do everything you can to protect yourself from it. Now, it won't help a lot when it comes to 1v1s, but you would definitely need it for group PvP, where you'll just get demolished if you don't have a bit of magic defense. For the dark pet, again, is the same story with the light pet. If you play mainly physical attack classes, then you definitely want melt. However, if you switch to magic attack classes, this will be useless. A good alternative to this is Darkness Descending. You can run this assist skill with any class since every single class has a problem with Reapers. And if you lower their magic attack by a big amount, then you will have a chance. Now, there is a small problem with that, and that is that you are melee, so in group PvP this might not be the best assist skill since you mainly don't want to focus on Reapers. The next assist skill I would like to have is Tag. Every player has a dodge amount because of the refined sets, and the assist skill will help with that a lot, especially since if a Blade Master misses his Blossom Dance or if the enemy dodges his Blossom Dance, then you will lose out on a ton of damage. That was pretty much it about pets and their assist. Now we need to take a look at allies, but I think we all know what this team of allies will be, so let's start. For the main ally, we want regular ally, and then you want to place your allies in the exact order. Place Luminous for only PvP, then we want Mingzilu, Anju, Nono, Chizigen, and a PvE alternative for Police Luminous is called Jerry. This is pretty much the ally build. Of course I could give you some alternatives, however if you don't have Eri, then on the main spot you can place literally anything including Anju, Ming, Call Jerry, or even Nono. So Blade Masters don't really rely on allies at all, but they're always good to have. But yes, I think that Blade Masters are one of the classes that do not need that many allies to be powerful at all. Now let's take a look at Dracs. I will start with the yellow ones first, and after that I will continue with the orange ones. Keep in mind most of the yellow Draconic suggestions will be theory, because I have 0 yellow Draconics, so I can't even test how exactly they work. But about orange Dracs, I do already know how most of those things work and their proc rate, so it will be easy for me to determine which ones are the best. Now let's start. For the weapons you want Odin's Wrath, for the hat you want Dark Knight Abrasion, for the clothes you want Nighthawk's Roar, for the gloves you want Heart of Spring, for the pants you want Stone Skin, for the boots Endless Thirst, for the necklace the Twins Vow Light, for the ring you want Find Weakness, for the bracelet you want Sweetheart's Gift, and for the belt Noble Power. Now for the orange axe, on the weapon you want Explosive Flame. Of course, if you can resist it, please don't buy anything for the weapon, head, bracelet, and belt when it comes to orange Draconics, because they are not the best. However, yes, let me continue. For the weapon you want Explosive Flame, for the head, Blessing of Ice, for the clothes, Sacred Barrier, for the gloves, Hellas Smile, for the pants, Shadow Travel, for the boots, Wind Tamer or Nose for Danger. Now this is personal preference. Wind Tamer gives you more dashes, Nose for Danger gives you more speed, so depends on what you need. I would sometimes like to have more speed, but then again Wind Tamer is just broken since you can dash more times during a duel or anything else. For the necklace you want Wailing Wall, for the ring you want definitely Whispers of the Ancient God, for the bracelet Withdrawing, and for the belt Wailing of the Dead. For the set pieces, we all know what I'm going to say, it's all personal preference and it is really dependent on the stats you already have at the moment. So if you need more physical attack, go for Fenrir String, or if you need more cooldown reduction and AP, then you want to go with Fairy or Valkyrie String, depending on your level of course. And at the end, if you want more tankiness, you would want to get Reviving Ouroboros or Kraken, because again, it's dependent on level if you go Ouroboros or Kraken, since those are level 90 or level 100 sets. I personally try to go for 6 Fenrir Scheme and 4 Valkyrie String, however luck is not on my side for right now, but I know it works since when I was level 90, I was running 6 Wolf for Fairies and I was a beast even as a free-to-play player. So that is pretty much all you want to know when it comes to set pieces for Blade Masters. Next up are the EX abilities. We all know that we use Diamond Realm for PvE and then we use Oberon for PvP, but the hardest choice is the other EX ability. I have a couple of choices. Royal Fire, Scorch, Winter or Fire Tornado are my main choices. All of them are dependent on your needs. However, if you don't have a level 6 Royal Fire, then Royal Fire is not the most useful one and I'd recommend running Scorch if that is the case. The thing with Scorch is that at level 6, the EX ability gives a ton of fire attack. So it first does damage, burns the target for some extra DPS, reduces their duo defenses, and then increases your overall damage from skills because it increases your own fire attack by a big amount, depending on your level or your EX level as well. However, I would say level 5 Royal Fire is still better in group content, such as contests, Ladder of Honor, or even bombs. Next we have Winter. Winter EX is definitely good for 1v1s, however you're not getting much damage out of it. The only way you get damage from the EX skill is when you freeze or slow someone, But there is another trick with this EX that is extremely useful, and that is against Reapers. And this is of my EX choice when it comes to facing them. So why is it good? Well, if you target the player with the EX Winter, that means whenever the enemy Reaper uses a clone or goes invisible, you will instantly see who the real player is, meaning it is harder for you to get tricked by the enemy Reaper clones. So to keep it short, I personally use Scorch and Fire Tornado for General Slayer. Yes, I do switch in the middle of the fight. Use Royal Fire for group PvP, Scorch and Winter for 1v1s depending on the class I'm facing. Keep in mind you can freely change EX abilities in any event and even during battle, so fast fingers can sometimes you win the game or land you some more damage. Now, I will mention Dustbuster as well. Dustbuster is mainly what I use in dungeons to get the damage taken reduction, but that is why I didn't talk much about it. Since with recent news we found out that the time it takes to finish off a boss in a dungeon and the damage you take from it matters a lot when it comes to the grade of the chests in the dungeons. So that means that Blade Masters and Fighters are literally useless since they can't kite, meaning they take a lot more damage and they deal less damage than, let's say, Gunslingers, Assassins and Reapers when it comes to dungeons, while kiting the bosses. So keep that in mind, and I really never recommend for you to go Blade Master or Fighter when it comes to dungeons, and now even Soul Dancers are pretty bad. And finally we got to the juicy part, my different talent and deep talent builds. However, keep in mind this is mainly meant for level 90 and level 100 players since I am not level 105 yet, although an updated talent and deep talent guide will come out soon when I hit level 105. First, let's take a look at PvE builds. When it comes to the PvE builds, there are generally two different builds. One is for auto PvE, aka dailies, and the other one is where you control your character. They are completely the same except for the S level talent, but now before I tell you the build, I will go over the actual skills. We use Moongazer and Red Lotus, Landslide and Fighting Spirit. And now the talents for the auto PvE build, we use Blossom Slash, New Life, Cherry Blossom Snow, General's Rat, and this is mainly because we will never switch in Adachi form, so it's generally better to do this with the auto skill rotation shown on the screen. Next up we have the no auto build, where we just switch up General's Rat for Izanami's Dance. However, the skill rotation is different because we will switch to Adachi form. Obviously, you should try for yourself, it is worth it to go in Adachi form for PvE since everyone will get different results because of different stats. So test it out. However, I will say again, I deal more damage if I combine both Adachi and Mito, and I do that mainly to use Demon Rage before I switch to Mito, and also Scorch plus the burn damage of Adachi is really nice damage. The deep talents are like shown on the screen. We go full left side, but you might see that we only have 1 point in Aura Slash, and that is for the simple fact that this deep talent is only useful for the range it gives to Infernal Beauty and for the movement speed reduction. Next, place all leftover points in Adachi tree. I personally don't have all 40 deep talents points, but when I get them, I will use the rest of Blazing Sword, so the burn effect will stack, making the Adachi plus Mito combo even more deadly. So yes, keep that in mind. Right now without Blazing Sword, I still do more damage when I combine Mito and Adachi than I do only with Mito form. Also, I will show you on the screen right now the PvE skill rotation, that's for the auto, and of course at the end of the video, near the end of the video, I will show you the PvE rotation that you should use or that I personally use and it works the best for me, so keep that in mind. This is only the auto PvE rotation. Next we will take a look at the 1v1 setups. Yes, I have two setups. One is literally just so I can have a small chance against Reapers, and the other one is for the other classes. I will start with the Scythe 1v1 build since I think most of you are interested in that. We run Blossom Slash, New Life, Cherry Blossom Snow and General's Rat. Now you might be confused about why I don't use the Wind and Moon talent. Well, that is simple. You won't get much use of it since Void is close to useless against Reapers, so I love to have a 3-second dash instead of a lower cooldown dash. This basically increases your overall DPS, and it's a great combo with the level 100 deep talent, which I will talk a bit later on, But now a very essential EX skill combo with this build is EX Winter plus Oberon. We use Winter whenever we can, like literally don't waste a second of its cooldown, mainly because, as I said earlier, it's really hard for the enemies to trick you with their clones. And as for Oberon, I would save it for whenever you run out of weight, so you have super armor plus a lot of damage reduction. Or you can just use it for on the Reaper's first skill rotation to nullify the damage from their Grim Sight ability and the Cat Tangle spam. For the skill choices we have Flash, Thunder, Moonshatter, and Fighting Spirit. I generally recommend everyone to use Thunder in PvP since if you freeze someone and they unfreeze, they get super armor. So I would not want my enemy Reaper to get more super armor from everything, literally everything. About Flash and Moonshatter, you all already know, those two allow us to get close, and Fighting Spirit is the best in slot skill for anything, so that is why I use it. Next up, let's take a look at the Deep Talents, which have not changed at all. I'm still running the same Deep Talent setup, but when I will get some more points, I will actually use them for the slow resistance talent named Shuffle. Since yes, you can get slowed before you use your Void, so I would like to never get slowed, since if you do, then it's just over from the start. That is pretty much it about the 1-1 side build. However, you could freely change some Odachi stuff and place them in the middle tree, the tanky tree. It's all up to you. I just find this that works better for me, and yeah, as I said, it's my own personal build. I never said this is the best build in the actual world, since I guarantee you no one knows the best build except the devs. And now we need to see what I use for the other classes. For the talents we use Blossom Slash, Wind and Moon, Cherry Blossom Snow, and Giant Lord's Wrath. The main difference between this build and the 1-1 side build is literally quite a bit. So yes, the talents, deep talents, and also EX skills do change. Yes, I still don't have enough points to fully test out this build, but when I do, I will try to get as many points into the Odachi side as I can as well. Obviously, the middle tree stays the same. The next difference is the EX skill, as I said, where I personally use Scorch to get the juicy fire attack boost. I feel like it is essential for you to do the most amount of damage. And then we use Oberon. I would recommend you to use Oberon whenever you're expecting to get hit by a lot of damage from the enemy. As for the skills, is the same: Flash, Thunder, Moonshatter, and Fighting Spirits. Lastly, we have the group PvP build. We use literally the same setup when it comes to talents, deep talents, and skills. However, we use Royal Fire as the EX, mainly to reduce enemies' defenses and damage altogether. Some people like to change up the talents, though they can unlock the deep talent excitement of the hunt. This is because this deep talent allows us to get a lot more movement speed, and also our cooldowns will get reset quickly, meaning in most cases you can just switch up Wind and Moon talent for new life and get the juicy AoE damage every 3 seconds with the combination of the talent Aura Slash. So yes, I would recommend running different builds for both Lateral Thunder and Bombs, and then different builds for cross-server PvP, since they're quite different, not gonna lie. Now, there is basically only one skill rotation for PvE and there are few for PvP. The PvP ones are always situational, but I will try to go over them the best I can. But I will start with the PvE one first. It's extremely simple. You use Moongazer, Blossom Dance, Sakura Slay, Wayne, Infernal Beauty, Blossom Dance, Sakura Slay, Infernal Beauty again, then Red Lotus, Roundhouse Skill, Azure Moon, Diagonal Slash, then we run 2 charge normal attacks, dim range, Fighting Spirit, and then use Void whenever you can. I didn't say it earlier because it really depends on how much cooldown reduction you have, and also this actual rotation depends on how much cooldown reduction you have as well. But I feel like this is gonna work for most people. Again, as I said, use Void whenever you actually can. But yeah, and also use, depending on what EX you use, I would definitely implement that here as well. However, those are dependent on you personally, so I didn't implement that thing as well. I do use Scorch whenever I just enter into battle, and then I use Scorch whenever I jump out of a Dachi form, because that's pretty much like 30 seconds or something. So yeah, I mean, it differs for every single person. Now for the different PvP skill rotations, I'm gonna say I think 3 of them, yeah. So we use Flash, Blossom Dance, Counter Wave, Sakura Slay, Thunder, Azure Moon, Diagonal Slash, Roundhouse Skill, a few auto attacks, and then Fighting Spirit. I didn't implement Demon Rage since it depends on what class you're facing and at what stage of the battle you're in. So if you see that you're taking too much damage, do not use the Demon Rage, but if you need to kill someone fast, then use it. The next PvP rotation is really similar to the first one, and it is actually what they generally use. We use Flash, Blossom Dance, Counter Wave, Sakura Slay, Thunder, Roundhouse Skill, few auto attacks, Azure Moon, Diagonal Slash, and then again a few auto attacks, and then we go to Mytho form using Fighting Spirit. This generally does more DPS, but it's quite risky with the lag in this game to use a few normal attacks after Roundhouse Skill. For the Mytho only, it's always gonna stay the same. You want Flash, Blossom Dance, Sakura Slay, Counter Wave, Ethereal Beauty. I just want to point out that sometimes you won't be able to use these rotations because of lag and bugs. The next and last part of the video is the tips and tricks part. I would strongly recommend for you to watch this part since it can help you a lot. Number 1. You can charge your attack and use a gap closer in a dodgy form. This way, if you knock the target down, you can delay him with the second charge attack. Many people know this already, but I do have a separate video explaining what exactly you can do using this trick. Also keep in mind you can actually charge, dash forward, and then use the next auto, and you'll still use the second part of your charge attack. Basically, this creates a gap closer without the use of any extra skills. Keep in mind this is really bad in group PvP since it requires you to stay in one place for a long amount of time. Number 2. Don't focus on Reapers in group PvP. They will always escape. It is better to go for the Soul Dancers and Gunslingers and sometimes even Assassins, Blademaster. Next up is experiment your builds, skill rotations, talents and deep talents builds for yourself, since this guide might not work for everyone as I said earlier in the video. Number 4. Allies are not mandatory for this class at all. They're good to have, but you can literally place any of them and do work. This class is the least demanding of good allies such as Eri, but it is still really nice to have. Next up is don't do dungeons with this class. You will lose out on rewards. As I stated earlier, taking damage and killing the bosses slower than usual means that the grade of the chests will be bad. At least that is what the devs told us. Number 6. Never use Void instantly after you use Flash, since the game will bug out and you will not teleport to the target. I have screwed myself so many times doing this, you guys don't even know. And yes, that is pretty much it about the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content. This video took me a while to make, so I'm really sorry about that, but because of it, any help would be appreciated. If you have any questions, make sure you tune in to my stream every Sunday at 8 PM GMT+2 or join my Discord server where your questions will most likely be answered. And as always, bye bye until next time.